Today I'm going to talk about emotions and how I think it's pretty cool when people show them. I think it's a pretty common trope in movies and in real life for people to tell other people to toughen up, to not be a snowflake, to develop thicker skin. And I don't like that. I think it's dumb and I'm going to complain about it. I think a lot of the times when people tell others these sorts of things, number one, I think they're doing it either to try in some way to protect the person who is demonstrating their emotions, saying something to the effect of, I've been hurt when I've shown my emotions before, therefore you should not show your emotions and you won't be hurt like I was. And so while that can be a good idea in theory, I think in reality what you're telling people is that their emotions don't matter, that they're not valid, and what you should really do is just suppress those emotions. And as a pretty emotional guy, I don't like to hear that I should suppress my emotions. And so the purpose of this video is to tell you not to suppress your emotions. Show your emotions. And I think that you will find people who are also willing to accept your emotions and share their own emotions with you the more that you do that. Now, this doesn't mean that people will stop telling you to hide your emotions. People will probably continue to tell you to suppress your emotions or get upset when they think that you're showing overly strong emotions. That's okay. I think emotions are valuable. I would not say that emotions are your truth, but emotions are your response to stimuli that are around you. Just as you might respond if somebody hit your arm or shot your leg in a pretty visceral way, we can respond with our emotions also in pretty visceral ways. And so while our emotional responses can be powerful, that doesn't mean that they're bad. I think emotions carry a lot of power. They can even be destructive. So I think it's useful to be mindful of what you're doing with your emotions as opposed to suppressing them. Be more aware of the types of situations that cause those emotions to rise up in you so that you can know yourself better and be more content with your emotions just generally. I also have found it funny growing up that people act as if showing your emotions is a weakness or it's a bad thing. And you hear this a lot in political conversations that people will use terms like snowflake or other derogatory terms like bleeding heart. A lot of the times they're applied to Democrats and they're meant to be attacks on social stances. And I just don't understand that, what the motivation is. Like, oh, you care about people. Stop that. That's a bad thing. You should only care about yourself. And so I'm here to say today, care about people. I think that's awesome. Show your emotions. If you're offended that somebody else's emotions are hurt, that's okay. Feel free to share those emotions with either yourself or your close friends, or even in the moment to share your emotions with a person who's telling you that your emotions are not valid, that he doesn't want to hear or she doesn't want to hear it. I do think, on a side note, the idea of masculinity in particular is tied up in the idea of not sharing your emotions. And I don't think that it's an accurate portrayal of masculinity. As I look throughout history, and specifically as I look throughout Christian history and through the Bible, you're not going to find a lot of men that fit the contemporary masculine American picture. You're going to find a lot of men who are emotional. You're going to find a lot of men like David or like Jesus who are going to cry when their emotions hit them. And I think that's an appropriate response. And they take those emotions and they present them to God or to their friends. And I think that there's a cultural difference between our time now and looking back in the Bible. And I don't know, to portray Jesus as some macho masculine dude, I think does a disservice to what the Bible portrays Jesus as someone who's very comfortable with his emotions. And I could name author after author, character after character in the Bible who embraces those emotions that they've been given by God. And so I want to say the same thing to you, to look through the Bible and find those people that you connect with who are also willing to share your emotions. Don't be shamed into feeling bad about sharing them. I mean, if God is allowed to share his emotions and he doesn't get chastised for it, so why should we try to hold back our emotions? If you want a specific verse, I can't remember the reference off the top of my head. There's a verse that people often use to act as if anger is a bad thing. The verse says, in your anger, do not sin. What the verse does not say is don't be angry. It says, when you are angry, don't use your anger in a way that produces sin. And a great picture of that is Jesus, who is angry with a righteous anger when people in the temple are extorting people who are poor. Jesus sees that as injustice and he responds to it with emotion, and he drives the people who are extorting others out of the temple. So applying that specific context, when there's injustice, it is okay to respond with the full breadth of your emotions, but to take the verse seriously. It says in the middle of that, don't use your emotions to sin. So I'll leave you with that. I think that's a pretty applicable verse. And there's a lot of other verses that we could talk about. If you want to hear more about what the Bible has to say about your emotions or emotions in general, please let me know down in the comments, because that's a topic that sounds fun and worth exploring. So I've been Matt. I will see you tomorrow. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. I post videos at 10 a.m. every single day. So come back here tomorrow to see more. And if you like this video so much that you feel like sharing it, I'm not going to stop you. I think that's awesome. Share your emotions. Share my videos. Whatever you want. It's an either or. It doesn't have to be both. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Push the button.
I'm pushing the button.
Push the button.
Pushing the button.
Push the button.
I'm pushing the button.
Push the button.
Push the button.